At 2 a.m., your brain isn't torturing you for fun. It's running a survival program. It genuinely believes your life depends on solving what you said to Jamie at that party 3 weeks ago. Ever wonder why your brain picks 2 a.m. to replay every embarrassing thing you've ever done? Today, I'll explain what's actually happening in your brain at 2 a.m. like you're 5 years old. By the end, you'll understand why your brain replays embarrassing moments, and the one shift that actually turns the volume down. Here's what makes this wild. The part of your brain doing the replaying isn't confused. It isn't broken or doing the wrong thing. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do. It's just pointed at the completely wrong problem. It's 2 a.m., and instead of sleeping, you're staring at the ceiling. You're running a mental highlight reel of every awkward thing you've ever done. That thing you said in the meeting, and the joke that landed wrong. The time you laughed too loud, or the moment you tripped, or blanked, or said, "You too," when the waiter told you to enjoy your meal. Some of these are from last week, and some are from 2011. All of them feel equally urgent right now, and you'd give anything to just stop. But you can't. And the harder you try to shut it off, the louder it gets. So what is your brain actually doing? And why does it keep running this loop? Here's what most people assume. This is anxiety. This is overthinking. This is just what happens when you're a bit neurotic. The solution must be to relax more, stress less, maybe try meditation. That's all wrong. And understanding why it's wrong is the thing that actually changes something. Your brain has a department whose entire job is to monitor how other people see you. Psychologists call it the social monitoring system. But let's call it what it actually is. It's an ancient reputation tracker. One that runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it runs whether you want it to or not. Here's why it exists. For most of human history, being part of the group wasn't optional. You needed the group to eat, to stay warm, to survive predators. If the group turned on you, if you did something that made people doubt your value, you didn't just get socially awkward. Getting left behind meant being alone in the wilderness, and being alone in the wilderness meant you died. So your brain built a system to prevent that. A constant, vigilant, never-off social scanner. It watches your behavior, tracks how others respond, and flags anything that might have made you look bad. The system is sensitive by design, because in the ancestral world, missing a real threat was fatal. A false alarm only cost you some sleep, so the scanner always errs on the side of caution. The problem? That system is still running at full power, inside your skull. Right now. And it cannot tell the difference between "the group might exile me to die in the wilderness" and "I said sounds good" in a slightly weird voice on a Zoom call and immediately wanted to disappear. It does not care. It is not taking questions. Here's where it gets more interesting. The replay isn't random. It has a specific agenda. Your social monitoring system doesn't replay embarrassing moments just to make you suffer. It replays them because it's trying to solve something. Think of it like a detective running the tape back. What went wrong? Could I have handled it differently? How do I make sure that never happens again? The replay is a simulation. Your brain is running the scenario over and over, looking for an exit, trying to find the version where you come out okay. That's why it's so relentless. It won't stop until it thinks it's found something useful. And at 2 a.m., when you're exhausted and your defenses are down, it runs the loop again and again. Because it never quite arrives at, "We're safe now." The thing your brain is afraid of isn't really what you said, it's what it might mean. That one awkward comment isn't just a comment to your social monitoring system. It's evidence. Evidence that you might be less likable than you thought, less competent, less safe. The brain doesn't flag the moment, it flags the implication. And implications are way harder to solve than facts. So the loop keeps running. 2 hours later, you've dissected a 3-second interaction from every possible angle, and somehow, it's gotten worse. The original moment is almost irrelevant now. Your brain has moved on to what it thinks the moment proves about you. That's the rabbit hole with no bottom. Your brain has a threat detector, a tiny almond-shaped alarm that fires before you even know what's happening. Scientists call it the amygdala, but let's call it what it actually is. The part of your brain that's still convinced it's trying to outrun a tiger. It cannot tell the difference between a lion and the memory of a slightly forced laugh at someone's joke. It just fires. Now here's the part that makes 2 a.m. so specifically brutal. During the day, your prefrontal cortex, the rational, logical part of your brain, can step in. It says, "Okay, that was mildly awkward, but nobody cared, and it's fine." It's not great at overriding the alarm, but it tries. It provides some interference. At 2 a.m., that rational buffer is offline. You're tired, and your cortisol, your body's primary stress hormone, is naturally elevated in the early morning hours, often peaking somewhere between 2 and 4 in the morning. Your emotional brain has the floor completely to itself. There's nothing moderating the signal. So what feels like a 7 out of 10 concern during the day becomes a full 10. Same memory, same moment. But now it feels like the most important thing that has ever happened in human history. You're not more anxious at 2 a.m. because you're broken. You're more anxious because your brain's alarm system is louder when the rational moderator is asleep. So what do you actually do with this? Not a 5-step plan, just one shift. When you catch yourself mid-replay, instead of trying to stop it, which doesn't work and makes it worse, you name what's happening. Out loud if you can. Something like, "My brain thinks this is a survival problem. It isn't." That's it. That's the whole move. This sounds too simple to matter. It isn't. There's a specific reason it works. When you label what's happening, when you name the mechanism, you re-engage your prefrontal cortex. You bring the rational brain back online, just enough to turn the volume down. Neuroscientists call this affect labeling. The act of putting words to what's happening actually changes the brain state producing it. Think of it like pulling a fire alarm and then watching someone in a uniform walk calmly through the building. The alarm is still sounding, but your nervous system just got a piece of information. Someone checked, and nothing is on fire. The urgency drops, not because the feeling disappeared, but because it got labeled as a false alarm instead of a real one. You're not telling yourself the feeling is wrong. You're not suppressing it or arguing with it. You're giving your brain one piece of information it can actually use. This is a false alarm. The system misfired. The threat isn't real. The replay doesn't vanish. But it loses urgency. The way a fire alarm stops sounding like an emergency once you know it's just a drill. It's 2 a.m. and the ceiling is still there. The loop starts again. Something you said, something you did, something you can't take back. But here's what you know now that you didn't before. Your brain has an ancient reputation tracker that never turns off. At 2 a.m., the rational part of your brain is offline, so the alarm runs louder and longer than it should. And the replay isn't punishment. It's a misfired protection system scanning for a threat that isn't there. The wilderness doesn't exist anymore. But the scanner doesn't know that yet. The moment you name what's happening, this is the system misfiring, not reality. You stop being at the mercy of it. You're not broken. Your brain is just running very old software on a very modern problem. Here's the question I want to leave you with. The moments your brain replays most obsessively, what if they're not actually your worst moments? What if they're just the ones where you cared the most about how you came across? And if that's true, what does that actually say about you?